Action. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Janae Claiborne and this is Sweet Potato Soul. Today, we are going to prep snacks in under 30 minutes. The question that I get most asked is, what vegan snacks can I be eating? With my daughter, I like to make sure that whatever I give her is as nutrient dense as possible and she's gonna actually eat it and like it. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to make 4 of our favorite snacks that my daughter always eats and I do too. We'll be making harissa almonds, cheesy kale chips, black-eyed pea hummus, and fig walnut bars. So, shall we start with the kale? I've already washed it, and that took me about 5 minutes. I try to prep everything before I film these videos so that I'm not running around with my, not knowing what I'm doing. So I prepped it ahead of time, but I promise all of this is still gonna take you under 30 minutes. And if you wanna save even more time, buy the kale already pre-washed, though it's easy enough to do it yourself, in my opinion. For these cheesy kale chips, we're going to need kale, nutritional yeast, sunflower seeds, miso, salt, lemon, and love. Of course, always love. I promise you, all of these recipes are gonna be a lot easier to make if you have a food processor. If you don't already have one, I will link to my favorite one in the description down below. It's a good one, it'll last you a long time. All right, now we have all of our ingredients laid out, including the sunflower seeds, which I soaked. I've been soaking these for about 4 hours, and to speed up the process of soaking and softening the sunflower seeds, I added hot boiling water. However, if you remember to soak them overnight or about 8 hours, then you don't have to use hot boiling water. You could just use regular, cold, or room temperature water. Soaking the nuts helps to soften them and make it easier for them to blend up and essentially become a better sauce or coating for the kale chips. To the food processor, we're gonna add our soaked and drained sunflower seeds, miso, lemon juice, nutritional yeast, salt, and olive oil. So now that it is nice and blended, we want a texture that is as creamy as possible. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. Some chunks are definitely okay, but we are gonna be using this to massage our kale now, just like you would do a salad. As you start to massage your kale, you can certainly add more if you have a lot extra and you have a lot of extra sauce as well. So let me take the blade out first. One thing I love about this food processor in particular is that the blade does come out, so you can scrape all the good stuff from the bottom a lot easier. So we are gonna be using my clean hands, I promise they're clean, to massage this kale. And we're gonna massage it just like you would a kale salad. I always like to take the opportunity to taste the kale before I bake it. Make sure it's well seasoned. Oh, and it is. Now you gotta be careful about over salting your kale because it's gonna dry out, and as it dries, it's gonna become saltier. But that right there is perfect, so we can bake it. So we're just gonna spread it evenly between 1 or 2 baking sheets. I'm gonna try to do it on 1. Yeah, I think I can. Oh yeah, look at that. I'm gonna stick it in the oven and it is going to bake and get crispy and even more delicious than it already is. But I promise you, you will love it. The kids will love it. If you wanna make it a little bit more yellow, especially for kids, add just a dash of turmeric to it and it'll look a little bit more cheesier and your kids might be even more excited about eating it. That was super duper easy. I'm gonna show you how to make black-eyed pea hummus now, which is also very easy. You're gonna need the food processor again. You don't really have to clean it. You can give it a rinse, or you can just use it with the seasoning from the kale chip sunflower cream. It's gonna be delicious. Our ingredients for this recipe are cooked black-eyed peas, tahini, lemon juice, cumin, smoked paprika, salt, garlic, and olive oil. This recipe is actually from my first cookbook, Sweet Potato Soul, which I have over here. It's on page 110, friends, so if you already have the book, you can find it in there. The secret to making the creamiest hummus is to use freshly cooked beans. So those can be chickpeas if you're doing a traditional hummus, or in our case, black-eyed peas. These are still warm. Warm beans blend better than cold. So even if you're gonna use canned beans for this recipe, warm them up in the microwave for about a minute before you make your hummus. So now to the food processor, we're gonna do those warm black-eyed peas. Another note, save your cooking liquid to help thin out the hummus later. You're probably gonna wanna thin it out, but it depends on whether you cooked your own beans at home or not. I'm just adding some tahini right now. This is 1/4 cup of tahini, which is an absolute necessity for hummus. We're also gonna add some lemon juice. I had some left over here. We're gonna need a tablespoon of cumin, which is also a necessity for hummus, unless you're doing a sweet hummus, of course. And, oop, wrong lid. And we're gonna need 1/2 tablespoon of smoked paprika, some fresh garlic, and some salt. And as it blends, we will add the olive oil. All right, let's give it a try. You always have to taste it before you say it's done, of course. Even if it's my recipe, you should still taste and, of course, season to taste as you need. Ooh, it's so creamy. Take that tip to heart. When you are making hummus in the future, always use warm beans. Fresh cooked is best. Oh my God, it's so silky smooth and delicious. Black-eyed peas are my favorite bean, and this is why. Try them, y'all. They're good. Our kale chips are out of the oven, and they look so good, and my kitchen smells amazing. They're nice and crunchy, and they baked in nice little clusters, so it's not too hot. They baked in clusters, which is perfect. That's why I use that sunflower sauce on them, because I don't want them to just be like, you know, thin, flaky kale chips. I want them to be clusters and have lots of like body on them, you know? So these are really good. They're nice and crunchy. Listen. Da bomb. Okay. High in fiber, high in protein, full of flavor. I'm here for these. So let's put these in a little container and then we can get back to the other recipes. Now we're gonna make harissa almonds. It's one of my favorite recipes and it's actually been on the blog for nearly 10 years. That's how good it is that I wanna make it again for you today. So this recipe is spicy, sweet, and salty, but even if you don't love spicy things, I think you're gonna love these. The great thing about these harissa almonds is that you can do a blend of nuts, just almonds like I'm doing today, or if you're allergic to nuts, you can swap them out for seeds like pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds. Anything works. For this recipe, we're gonna need harissa. I use Mina harissa. This is my favorite brand. We're also gonna need maple syrup, and lastly, some chunky salt. Maldon is best. I'm actually out today, so I'll be using some kosher salt. This recipe is insanely easy. All you're gonna do is mix harissa and maple syrup together in a mixing bowl. Once you've got that blended, add your almonds and give that a stir. Then we're gonna spread that evenly on a baking sheet and roast them until they're nice and crispy and sticky and yummy, yummy, yummy delicious. For my last trick, I'm gonna make something sweet. We're gonna be making fig walnut bars. They're super healthy. They're kind of like Lara bars, but better texture, more interesting in my opinion. All we need for this recipe are walnuts, dried figs, dates, chocolate, and salt. All right, these almonds are halfway done. You're just kind of giving a little stir so that they can toast evenly and get nice and crispy throughout. And then stick them back in the oven for another 10-15 minutes. To make our fig walnut bars, it's so easy. We are just putting everything, with the exception of the chocolate, in the food processor. So starting with my nuts, dates, make sure you pitted your dates, that is important. And your figs. I'm gonna put them all in here whole because the food processor is gonna do all the chopping for me. You're looking for a texture that is kind of like wet sand? No, thicker than that. Nice and crumbly, but here's the test. In order to know if it's finished, you take a little handful of the batter crumble out and form it into a ball or any tight shape. If it holds together, then technically it's done. However, I can see that I still want it to be a little bit finer, so I'm gonna grind a little bit longer. I bet that's perfect. Yes, it looks so good. And of course, it holds together. We're gonna transfer this into our baking dish where we will shape it into bars. The best way to press your walnut fig bar down is to use damp fingers. That way, when you are moving your fingers around, you don't have a bunch of nuts and dried fruit sticking to your fingers. Now we're gonna melt our chocolate. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of coconut oil to some chocolate. These are just chocolate bars. This is baking chocolate, of course, and stick it in the microwave. And then we're gonna pour it over the top and we are gonna be done. Now we have our creamy chocolate. The chocolate part is certainly optional, but why would you skip the chocolate? Come on now. So we're just gonna drizzle this over the top of our bars. Once your bars are coated in chocolate, give them a little sprinkle of salt. Ideally, you'll use a Maldon salt, but I ran out, so I'm just using a coarse sea salt. And then let those set in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes or so until the chocolate is firm and ready to eat. Wow, that was fast. We got everything done in 30 minutes and it was so easy. And now we're gonna have healthy snacks for the entire week. I still have the walnut bars in the refrigerator. I'll take those out in a second and cut them up and show you the whole display. But the almonds are all done and they're nice and crispy. They just need a few minutes, about 10 minutes, to cool down fully so that they'll get nice and crispy how you want them. Let me let you hear how good they are and crunchy. Oop. Oops. Finally, I'm just gonna cut these into bars. I'm really hungry actually, so maybe I can have my snack right now. Everything that we made here today will stay fresh for at least 7 days. The nuts, of course, will last a lot longer. You can just store them in the pantry in an airtight container. The kale chips can also be stored in an airtight container at room temperature. The only thing that you're gonna wanna keep in the refrigerator are the walnut fig bars and the hummus. I put together a downloadable PDF and it's of course free. The link for that is down below in the description box. It's gonna include the recipes for these snacks that you saw today, along with some extra, because why not? Thanks so much for coming back to my kitchen today. Make sure you tune back in next week for a very exciting recipe. This is one that's gonna be in my next cookbook, but I couldn't wait until next year to share it with you. I had to share it right now. We're gonna be making my vegan tofu salmon. Y'all, I posted this on Instagram, people went crazy. So I decided to also share it here on YouTube in a long form video because on Instagram, I didn't even give them the recipe. So tune back in next week. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you do not miss that. Turn on notifications. And if you haven't already, please like this video. Remember that free PDF downloads of all the recipes that we had in today's video is gonna be down below. And don't forget to tune in next week for that delicious vegan tofu salmon, y'all. Y'all gonna be, oh, y'all not ready. Stay tuned, because it is gonna be the bomb. Okay, see you, bye. I gotta go get Baby J, bye.